in your home. And there were some $5 words in there. And that freaks homeowners out, and they don't understand that if it's really dry, the mucous membranes inside your mouth and your nose, where your body interacts with its environment, gets microfissures, it breaks, it cracks. We call it dry skin out here. In our nose, it's different. And that allows viruses and bacteria. That's why a lot of people get sick in the wintertime. You can solve that. Is there a woman alive or a man alive that wants their kid to have colds for 3 months in a row?
Anti-vaxxers.
It's minerals, right? So, humidifier, energy efficiency, health, all that stuff, very important. Humidifier, all. So think about what that is. Have you guys ever put an in-duct smoke detector in a residential environment? Think about this. I did a little research, and the government agency that puts out this information about home fires, this is the statistics. Of the fires that start in a home, 20% are going to start between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. overnight. 20% of the fires, 11 to 7. Over 50% of the residential deaths in residential fires happen between 11 and 7.
I want to start sleeping during the day.
What's that?
I want to start sleeping during the day.
Start sleeping during the day. It's safer, right? Well, why is that important? Why is that important? The chance of your house burning down overnight is significantly smaller than during the day, right? But what's your percentage of your chances of dying if that happens? It goes up exponentially. Those in-duct smoke detectors are really fairly inexpensive and easy to put in. They're code required on all the commercial jobs that you guys do. And you know what? Most people don't die in commercial fires. And most people that die in home fires are going to do it overnight. And they do it because of the smoke inhalation. They don't get burned to a crisp until after they're already dead. They die because the smoke got moved throughout the house. And they might be at a house where they unplugged the smoke detectors because they got tired of the alarm going off in the middle of the night and they didn't go get a 9-volt battery. And you can put an in-duct smoke detector in for, I don't know, $200 or $300 or $400. Does everybody need it? Yes or no? I don't know.
Yes.
But to a homeowner, that might be an important insurance. Surge protectors, in-duct smoke detectors, putting in the 4 and 5 inch filters, putting in the Air Night air purifier, putting in high efficiency equipment with variable speed motors on the inside and multi-stage equipment outside, 2-stage, 5-stage, or the full variable stage. You guys got all that stuff. And it's just owning it and coming up with your own stories and putting that together. And let me ask you this question. Do you have to wait for someone to buy a core system from you before you can fill in the rest of the blanks of what you consider to be a complete system? No. What might this do if this was a core belief of what we fundamentally believe to be true about a complete system? How would that change your service calls?
Offer more system enhancements.
System enhancements. And it's just a system enhancements. Now it's a complete system. This makes it a complete system. You can do it over time, or you can do it all at one time, right? That's something to think about. It changes your planned maintenance programs. It changes your presentations on service calls. It changes your presentations on new installs, everything. And so just give that some thought. What is your belief system about these things? If you just see them as accessories, they're not needed and they just cost an extra $400 or $500, and you're like, oh yeah, I just sold them something. I'm not here to sell anybody anything. There's a reason why those things exist and they solve various problems. Not everybody needs them, but there's a lot of people that might want them if they knew they were available. And so I just wanted to bring this home to something very specific. Have the belief, inform, educate, offer, and then come to grips with what you fundamentally believe about your business, and then put it into practice. And because if you talk about it over and over and over again, it just becomes a part of who you are and what you do. And we all know, and every one of you's got a story of planting those seeds in a customer's mind and then going back 6 months or a year or 2 years later and reaping the rewards of that planting, right? And the customer was happy for it. No one's ever given you a $500 check and start throwing stuff at you. Well, maybe they have, but not if they picked it on their own, right? So I'm kind of wrapped up with that, but we got just a couple of minutes, very, very short amount of time. Before I go, based on what you guys have experienced in the field and some of this information, is there anything you want me to give a little more detail on, or is there a question you'd like for me to answer for you? Yeah.
Where is MasterTech in this system compared to other companies that you've seen?
Jerry wants to know how awesome you guys are. That's the question. And it's a legitimate question. And it's an important question because you have to understand this, because it's a part of who you are, it's a part of the culture here. You guys are at the top end of the scale of doing this well. The top end of the scale. And what do I mean by that? You have a program where you can show the customer options, and you can email it to them, you can track it, you can follow it, you can help that customer out. You have the coaching and the training that's needed to be able to inform, educate, and offer. So you're already there. You're doing the right things. You've been doing them for years. You're going to continue to do them for years. And obviously, you've seen the exponential growth that you've had in your HVAC business over the last 3 years. It's been outstanding. And it's just, all of a sudden, it starts sticking. Right, CJ? It starts sticking. You start understanding it. How do I offer financing with honor and integrity? How do I offer on every job? How do I talk about the entire diagnosis of their entire system? How do I ask them about their health problems and their asthma and the allergies that they have? And how do I know that I have products that can address that? How about for the homeowner who has some legitimate fears of fires? I can address those things. How about for the customer that wins the lottery and gets their house struck by lightning and has a condenser grounded, shorted to ground? Yeah, you could have solved that with a surge protector. But did you talk about it, yes or no? So those kinds of things. So Jerry says, where are we here? I know the fundamentals are there. Since I'm not here, I don't know what the execution is. So that's the question. How are we executing that? And then what's that next step? We've talked about this. So let's come up with what does it fundamentally mean to have a complete system? And what do we believe about that? And then how do we talk about that? And then how do we market that? And how do we let our customers know that? And how do we let them know that on every service call, on every planned maintenance call, and every install? How do we talk about these things? Instead of in terms of accessories, how do we talk about them in terms of, these are important items. There's a core, everybody understands the core pieces you're going to need. But what are those other things that they don't understand that are going to complete their system for their health, for their safety, and for the performance of their equipment? So MasterTech's very good because you have a computer program that works. You have the understanding of how to go to market and what customers really want. And then it's just executing it and just refining it over and over and over. It's a great question. What else? Anything else? Guys, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to get this off my chest because I deal with it every day and I see guys that are struggling in their life, struggling in their job, they're working their tails off, and they just simply don't understand this. And when I get to talking to them about it, all they want to know is, can I make more money if I sell this brand? It's like, only if you let me help you. If not, you're going to be struggling the same way with the same stuff with different product. It's about having a great product line and about knowing how to go to market and understanding the American consumer and what they really, really want and how you can really help them do that. It's simple, but it is hard because you got to change what you do and how you do it. You got to take the risk to have the conversation. You got to take the risk to put your information out there. You got to take the risk to learn something else and realize we don't know everything. I'm learning every day on new things, and it's very, very cool. It's very exciting. But we got to take it from theory, and we got to come up with a practical application of that, and then we got to practice that, and then we got to make it a part of who we are, and then we come back up here, and then we own it, and then we just got to execute it. Does that answer that question, Jerry?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
What are the questions? Nope.
That smoke alarm goes into ducts. Can you tie that into your electric system throughout the whole house?
I don't know that you can do that, but it does tie into the blower so that it'll sound an alarm and it shuts the blower off. That's the reason it's in the end duct, is that smoke comes through, and it's an air handler, it's an air
Right.
mover, so it moves that smoke across that diode or whatever that thing is in there, whatever you call that, and that sounds the alarm, and then you have that wired to your motor,
Right.
so it shuts that off. But I don't believe.
So
that
if
you
you're
can-
still in bed at 2 a.m., it's not gonna wake you up without your whole house smoke alarm.
Well, it has an alarm on its own,
Right.
but you need to have smoke alarms because if your system's not running when you're burning to death,
It just stops the movement of the smoke throughout the house. And it does sound an alarm, and it shuts off that air movement, so that you don't spread that fire or that smoke faster.
And it has like a battery backup of the,
It has a battery backup, and it's hardwired into your electrical system.